January 27th, the live stream happening now, 7 Eastern Standard Time. Tonight we're going to be talking about career and what you can do as a quant wannabe trader, HFT developer, or whatever in between in that space. This was inspired because I noticed when I talk about it in past streams that my audience starts to show interest and I get more of a crowd coming in. So for tonight, as of today, I just wanted to let people know I have sent out real questions to people in my contact list on LinkedIn who are recruiters at large firms. I just sent out the first batch today. Hopefully they'll respond, and I'm going to validate what I'm going to talk about tonight, and more specifically some unknown tactics that they use to find people for their firms. One of the interesting ones I found a few days ago, because I've mentioned the LinkedIn way I can attract these people, which I'm doing pretty good at, and growing my LinkedIn group, which is now pushing probably 11,000 people. I'm just trying to figure out, one of the profiles I found was that they were a LinkedIn profile. Basically what I picked up, they weren't HR, they were just people from, this was one of the top 5 largest hedge funds in the US. And their job was to find people based upon their LinkedIn profile. They found mine, so that strategy I've been talking about in the last couple of streams actually works. But now it's like the question becomes, well, how do you take it beyond that? So tonight's topic, I got 4 areas that I want to address quickly, and then I'm not sure if I'll take any questions after that. Usually it's in the first 10, 15 minutes, if that. Usually, hopefully, there'll be some really good questions coming up tonight, as usual. All right, so the first thing is the AI threat assessment on your career. If you're a software developer, I have gauged this time and time again. Some folks are saying that AI is not actually hurting people's careers, because it's one thing to get laid off from AI and thinking you just get a new job. One of these studies that came out today, thank you, Mr. You-know-who. One of the studies that came out earlier today, actually, was a UK study that said that a lot of firms are now shedding jobs because of AI, specifically any requirement for a job that needs the first 5 years. And it's a lot of companies. So there are now a lot of jobs not being created in the UK because of AI. Hey, Dika Chua, sorry, I forgot the name, bro. So the UK is now confirming, which is probably global, that AI is affecting fewer jobs. So people in middle and senior roles for now are okay, but that seems to be confirmed, but there's other that will say otherwise. I've heard about studies saying that AI doesn't boost production, or that's all BS, especially in the world of coding. I mean, look at the hype of the last few weeks with the Claude code, and the new one they just put out, the Claude work. So that is just a global example of the hype in that. So what are the alternatives? There's a lot of people out there that want to get into this field that's recognized. They want to become quants. They want to become developers in hedge funds, in high-frequency trading shops. And as I said, in between banks, whatnot, they are high-paying, but the competition is very fierce. But what do you do if you can't get into it? You're not getting the attention via interview, via whatever. What I'm here to present is what I call, hey, Cyber Iraq. Anyways, so what I'm here is to talk, there is an alternative if you want to stay in the field. I think over the long run, it can be a lot more lucrative if you become successful at it. and that is doing your own trading via algo trading and Indie Quant. Since Friday, up until then, I always thought, oh, high frequency trading is the best way, blah, blah, blah. It's all fine and good if you have a $500,000 account or $1 million account. You could probably get away with this HFT mindset stuff. Probably, most likely you could. And then on the other hand, trying to get into the direct market access, you have a good shot of doing really well in that space. Thanks for the like. Anyway, so what happens is up until Friday, since I started testing this new client server thing I've been trying out, I started realizing that the trading is way too fast. So unless you want to eat commissions and only pay out commissions and no profit, this might not be viable for retail traders, smaller retail traders, let's say under, I don't know, $250,000, which a lot of people don't even have 50,000 in an account to trade, let alone that, or at least put a risk on that. So that brings us, as an indie quant, we have to slow down the trading. We have to really focus on high liquidity, high volume instruments. And that's what I've been more focusing on as of today. I just put out a video on news-driven events and forecasting instruments based on those events, which means that your trading is going to be slower and it's more kind of like investing, I guess you could call it, long-term holding, that's for sure. So where does that leave HFT for the little guy? For the little guy, there's still opportunity. Now, what I built out and talked about last week and showed maybe on my YouTube channel, my long form videos, it's not a waste of effort there. I can use that for signal generation. Now, one of the areas that, since I started working on this yesterday on the news aspect of things, what I'm finding is when you're listening to a lot of the major news outlets, Bloomberg, CNBC, and the like, it's just noise. And it's just people's theories based around their hunches. The problem there is that there's a lot of false positives that come out of that. And when you put trades on that, you lose money. I got one guy that I know many years ago who took the advice of Bill Gross, and he was saying that Brazil is going to be the best place to invest into. He put all in. He was a very successful trader. He put in a good couple $100,000 on that one trade, got wiped out. Not instantly, but very quickly. All because he felt that he could use the opinion of Bill Gross and the opinion that will be the place to be in Brazil, and it didn't work out for him. So as a result, you cannot trust what you see or read on any of the major media, and the same with just opinions you see on social media. So the HFT stuff is very valuable, but for signal generation, and to know how to separate that noise from actual signals that are very valuable. So there is an approach that you can use there. And then the last part here is basically the tech stack assessment. Now, we know that Python is really used for research, which is fine. C++, I've already established that. Depending upon where you're trading and what you're trading to, I'm finding with Rhythmic, your only option is really Windows. And that restricts you again. I said this last number of weeks, is that C++ is kind of overkill for a Windows piece of software, and that's the only option you have for a retail trader. So from my experience, and I can verify this, especially when you're applying AI to it, C#.NET is the easier way to do it. And I've now had this one test that I've been running for well over 30 hours, let's say. No problem. All the software I've shown, all my client software, all the strategies with the servers, been running solidly for 30 hours nonstop, no hiccups, nothing, which is really good. And it just shows that C# is just as good as C++ for this type of style of trading. We'll call it automated trading. So I'm not too worried about the C# discussion here. Is that people ask me, why aren't you doing C++? Well, I've already said it multiple times that you need C++, or say C# to really make it effective for Rhythmic features and options. So that's pretty well the things that I can say. And as I said earlier, I'm hoping to hear back from some of the hedge fund hiring recruiters and maybe a couple established recruiters, independent recruiters out of the UK, just to confirm what I'm trying to highlight here and what you need to do and what you need to put in your resume. Specifically, I will tell you they will look at your LinkedIn profile now, because I've gotten now 2 contacts in the last few days. That's all they're looking at is LinkedIn. So they're using LinkedIn, coming to you to what they see and highlighting their existence to you. And then it's up to you how you approach it. So the traditional sense of looking for work through sending out resumes and stuff, I think we're coming quite possibly, that's not a high priority anymore. Again, this is all theory, but this is where I believe where we're going in terms of jobs, because there's going to be fewer of them because of AI. If you guys got comments and questions on this, please chime in by all means, okay? Just don't be shy on that. But as I said, I think if you really want to get these type of jobs, it really depends upon what you post, namely on LinkedIn is the first point. And then when people see what you post, and a lot of that's driven by your key words and hashtags that you put in the post in your personal profile, along with all your experience in LinkedIn, they may come to you, and then beyond that, they will look at what are you posting on YouTube or your social media to showcase, as I said before, how you're trading, a trading system. Is it profitable? Is it verified? These are things that they may look for to get you front of the line, to show that you're highly interested in the career path of trading, along with showing your initiative. It's the big thing that a lot of firms will look for, and blah, 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 blah. So that's what I'm hoping to get confirmed on that. So sending out a resume is not going to help you in that, especially if you're not from a PhD level Ivy League school. The other way to get in is the usual candidates for internships at these firms, which start in the summer for 1 year. And even that may not guarantee you to get into the firm. You'll be paid for the first year, but they only take the best of the best coming out of that internship after a year. So there's various ways, and there's competitions that World Quant uses. Jane Street's another one that uses these competitions. So it's going to get more difficult to do that, but everything comes back to what I do pretty well every day by looking at the markets, real world data, and posting about it, and showcasing the research. But to really break through, you got to have your live trading there in place, because that's very important. Okay, so as I said, who's got questions and comments and stuff on these topics and other stuff as well? Some of the other updates I can mention is, as I said, with my news, I just posted this in the last few hours regarding things like being able to use custom feeds from aggregators and using those as a form of insight on what's happening in the markets, namely in the futures and options space. One other thing I should mention there as well, the asset class is important when you trade. I do see a lot of firms not trading so much in the equity or stock or crypto as much as futures and options. Okay, futures and options, derivatives is the place to be. Let it be treasury, let it be any kind of mainstream derivative. As the economy changes and more instruments become less valid, let's say, less profitable, less trending for profit, namely like U.S. indices, they will look at things like currencies. They will look at even agricultural product. They may look at some of the, as it stands right now, Treasury is still pretty good. And those are going to be their focus. So if you're not participating and learning that those asset classes, namely in the derivatives market, you will have an extra hard time getting their attention, because that's where they trade. It's currencies, Currencies, crypto, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, in, let's say, the CME, obviously US indices when they perform really well. Obviously commodities, gold, silver is the big ones right now, and eventually down the road, oil, maybe natural gas temporarily, and blah, 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 blah. I could go on about that. So it's another area you need to focus on. So here's something that I've kind of been noticing in the last couple of days, we'll say, because this is more just general trading and more economic that I'm going to talk about here. What's happening right now, everyone's been brainwashed that gold will save them. That will be the trade that will save them when things go bad in the economy. I've been watching, because of YouTube has suggested some additional videos that I would never think of. So I've watched a few of these videos now of these gold dealers that could go bankrupt. What's happening is in the space is that everyone is trying to liquidate their physical gold that they've collected. And usually people will sell off gold or whatever they can to raise cash if they can't pay their bills and can't find jobs. So that's what's kind of happening. That's what sometimes happens when gold dips. So it's happening. A lot of these people are relying to sell their gold, their physical gold, to dealers. Now what's happening with the dealers are now running out of cash because there's so much demand for gold to be sell off physical cash, for physical cash. A lot of the fabricators that melt down the gold that comes through the retail channels, through dealers and whatnot, they're having problems keeping up with cash, raising cash and being able to pay back to dealers. So rumors are now saying that these dealers, these fabricators that melt down the gold at the retail level could go bankrupt over the next month or so because there's so much demand and cash is not being raised, and some dealers are now either closing or doing only online or limiting their hours because they have so much demand. So as a result, a few of these dealers may go bankrupt actually. So the question becomes, where do you sell your gold when there's fewer and fewer dealers to go to? So something to take note on when it comes to both silver and gold. If you think you'll be able to sell your silver and gold through dealers, I think that's going to be a hard thing to watch for. That's not really talked about in the financial news markets. It's more in real life. That's what I'm seeing on YouTube. So there's that. So anybody got questions on that, or has it said anything on just general trading? So I've got the news down, and I'm just going to blab now until somebody comes up with a comment or something. So with the news, last week I talked about the volume liquidity. So what's predicted, I'm seeing time and time again over the last week or so, is volatility. There's also where it gets very dangerous to trade in the markets is when the treasuries get volatile. That's never ever supposed to happen. So when you start to see volatility happen in treasury, that's when you have dangerous times coming because everything else is becoming more volatile and more unpredictable and may in fact make things less tradable or less investable. We'll leave it at that. And when you have the stark possibility of gold and silver being potentially manipulated, it's just where do you go to trade? So the thing that people need to realize is that volatility is going to be a real danger in the markets when it comes to trading because most people will trade based upon momentum and long-term trends. The place to look at for that is Bitcoin itself over the last month and how it's performed. Usually, traditionally, we're used to Bitcoin because there's been strong momentum in the market. People always say buy the dip, buy the dip. So when Bitcoin went up and eventually the dip came, people jumped in, and then away Bitcoin price and crypto overall quickly recovered and continued on with its trend. Well, that's clearly not happening now. It's either gone flat in a crypto winter. It's very unpredictable when it does spike, and there's just no sustainable volume to keep the price continue to trend. So as a result, that's just where we're going. Now, you may ask, why would there be unpredictability in the treasury market. It all comes down to national debt, because a lot of people that are not talking about this, what's happening is the U.S. credibility in terms of, can you trust the U.S. government? I mean, do I have to say more than the president? And the unpredictability that comes with that. There's also the trustworthiness of the U.S. dollar and just the overall credibility of the U.S. government when they stand behind their reputation for creditworthiness. That's fallen apart. Just look at the dollar last year. It's gone down 10%. So as a result, what keeps everything going are a couple things. AI trend. Also, they think the Magnificent Seven, the big tech, and also the dollar as well. Now, once you lose the trust and confidence in something like the U.S. dollar, hello JDI, how are you? Once you lose confidence in the dollar, that's it. Game is over, and the U.S. dollar gets slaughtered. That's what's happening in the markets right now. And the thing is, with the U.S. markets, there's been some things that are currently being floated around through these infographics on Google and whatnot. The best performing stocks, best performing currencies against the U.S. dollar right now, because as it falls, we've got right now the Mexican peso is the strongest. The Swiss franc and the euro as well. So that's what's going on as the U.S. dollar tanks. So that's where to go for that. And it's as the dollar tanks, it's more predictable, so you won't get these crazy spikes in gold and silver, like these massive moves in both gold and silver. So I don't know. It could get manipulated where there could be a crash, because when you look at the privacy coins for both Zcash and Monero that were getting hyped a lot, they've come down in price. So I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if gold and silver comes down in price because of that. So be careful if you are relying on gold and silver to carry you through. And there might be talk of oil and natural gas to kind of kick in to recoup their, even Bitcoin itself. But again, it's not, we don't know. Right. All right. So I'm going to quit blabbing there. Go back on topic of this AI and whatnot, the impact of jobs and stuff. As I said, if you're new and watching, just come in, chime in, ask your questions. I'm here to answer them at any point you have them, even on trading and automated trading. And I'll gladly answer them. So JDI is a very good person on the questions for the last couple of weeks. Thank you for that. Have you heard about Claude Bot? People seem to be very excited about it. Yeah, I've heard about it. From what I haven't played with it, I think we have somebody already playing with it online here. I'll let them chime in if they want. But from what I understand, it's open source. It's created by a guy named Peter something or other. Gotten a lot of hype on it. It's open source. Thanks, Flabba Jabbat. Thank you. If you got a question, let me know. In terms of this Clawbot, I haven't played with it myself, but it obviously could revolutionize everything when it comes to these chatbots. Obviously, using Claude as the LLM. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it because I haven't really played with it. But in general terms of what the AI. There is a couple of things happening. As I've said before, DeepSeek 4 is coming out in the next few weeks. Okay, they're projecting mid-February. That's going to be quite possibly a game changer and have the same impact as it did a year ago when it first came out of nowhere and impact the overall AI space. Leading up to that, what I noticed is that there's been a lot of hype with Claude. The big one that I just got in the last day was 24, is Gemini 3.5. That's going to be a game changer, potentially, to get caught up with Claude 4.5. Because Gemini is getting close to it. In fact, I might go all in with Google and Gemini and all their AI solutions. So, surprise there. Also, this source that's online tonight, thanks to them, A new LM from China just came out. It's got an agent swarm built into it as well. I do believe it's open source. That's the Kimi, KIMIK2. So that's a 2.5 that just came out as well. So that's something I'm going to definitely pay attention to. And once the new 3.5 Gemini comes out as well. So that's what to look out for. And it's all prepping for this DeepSeek 4. So in terms of this Claude bot, I can't say if it's sustainable or not. It's good to see it as where it's at. I haven't played with it. I might be interested to play with it just to see how it works and stuff. I might do that actually, but right now I don't have comments, but if anyone else has comments, please type away. So we got some new people in. Ed Rin Hojer 7. Nice to catch up here. Thank you very much for being here. GBX2, your channel been helpful to me, sir. Self-learning time series analysis all through here. Yeah, thank you. That's what I've been talking about tonight. As I said, if you got any specific questions, let me know. I'll gladly answer them. That's why I do this live. I'm on these for the last couple of weeks, up to 3 hours and a bit. So if you got a question, whatever you want, let me know. But I'll gladly answer whatever it is. But coming back to, Flabba Jabba 328, my crypto account is taking a beating with XRP doing anything soon. How do I keep gas fees down on ETH? Okay, that's more of a utility question, I guess. I think Fidelec Buterin is supposed to do something about that. That's the big draw against Ethereum, is the gas fees. That's what Solana's hopeful for as well. But there's been no performance on Solana. So crypto overall is kind of losing its hype here. But I don't know if you guys know, but UBS just came out late last week, saying that they're encouraging all their private wealth customers or clients to get into Bitcoin for some reason. So that's telling me that there's going to be a big move coming. And that's also another big move saying that can be manipulated as a big move. So that might be something to watch out for. Now, in terms of utility, I think overall these gas fees and whatnot, I think they're going to fall by the wayside because of stablecoin. A lot of the stablecoins are taking a lot of demand. Even in today's news, I just pumped out in the last 24 hours, gold is getting now impacted heavily by Tethered Gold. That's a new crypto coin that they just brought out. So that's getting a lot of attention now in the mainstream, Tether Gold. So, and PaxG as well, on the digital front for crypto. So what I'm saying there is that as crypto stablecoins come into play, there's going to be less utility for the traditional crypto coins, namely the altcoins like Ethereum. So there's not, you don't have to worry about it because I think utility for those coins are going to go down. Because of stablecoins, especially USDC, when you look at South America, that as they have high inflation, the only go-to place they have for currency and for utility for buying product in their local regions is with USDC or Tether. So that's one of the reasons why I think retail crypto is losing its relevancy. And I've been noticing that over the last couple of months actually, with less headlines for crypto altcoins, and a lot of altcoins are falling by the wayside as well. Even Binance as well could be losing volume because more and more of the mainstream crypto exchanges are getting big now, especially with the institutions getting involved in the ETF flow. So I'm talking about the CME itself. I'm also talking about Coinbase, what they've got. They're promising to unite all their exchanges, but where a lot of the institutions play is on Coinbase Prime. So when you see all the volume of outflow and inflow on ETF, specifically with BlackRock, it's all on Coinbase Prime. So that's now more and more volume taken away from Binance. So just putting that out there. So it's a big shift in the crypto space. And I think that's why you're starting to see things in the retail crypto or altcoins where these gas fees, I don't know. I can't predict this, but that's what I'm seeing for the last month or so. So it will be addressed. I think Ethereum is going to be one of the surviving coins for sure, because stable coins are built on Ethereum. So it's still going to be legit for sure. All the other coins I can't say because I was really excited to know about Solana. I'm just not seeing the performance with it as well. So I wish I could give you a better answer, Flabba but on that. So if anyone else got any questions, let me know. Because that's one of the things that I'm going through with the news lately is using that to gauge what to trade, because there's different types of trading. You can trade crypto on the retail side, on the spot market, and then you could trade crypto on the derivatives side. For me, that's where I would rather trade, is on the derivatives market, because the top three big players, no problems, Flapjab. That's why I'm more interested on the derivatives side of crypto, Bitcoin and Ethereum in the CME. I could get into the Coinbase, exchanges as well through my futures broker, but I just think the CME is good enough for that. But I'm just not even seeing Bitcoin performing as well compared to silver and gold right now. But I think it's possible that Bitcoin could start to make a comeback, not because of the reasons that you think, but because the large institutions think, yeah, let's make some money here and close it off. Because one of the articles I read was that there's a two-tier Bitcoin market now. It's really one for the institutions that, as I said, with Coinbase Prime, that's where all the institutions are mostly at, and the CME, but mostly Coinbase Prime, and we, the public, don't have access to it. It's only for institutions, while all the other exchanges, their volumes might drop off over the next 6 months, let's say. Just putting out something there. But again, on the other hand, as I said, with the UBS saying to their clients, start considering putting Bitcoin in your portfolio. So maybe it's just Bitcoin and a little bit of Ethereum, and that's where it stops from the crypto perspective. And then there's stablecoin as well. So who's got other questions as well? As I said, I can go back on topic of the AI quant stuff. As I said, with my stuff, if you want to make a career out of this HFT and quant business, that's fine. I don't think it's going to be a losing game for you. One thing I will say is you got to be very careful on a lot of these channels now on YouTube that go on about interviews with these big firms, because I think they are changing their game plan on how they bring in talent and how they recruit. So I'm hoping to get some verified information from the actual recruiters of these big firms. So, as I said earlier on this stream, that's what I'm hoping to. And no matter who you listen to, you want to hear what the insiders say and what they look for when it comes to career. If you do have the tech and math and trading skills that they're looking for among there has been a lot of talk about how AI is impacting these firms. I think it's impacting them a lot. We just don't know about in the public space, but that's what I'm trying to verify, because I do have an audience that they'd definitely be interested in, because I've got combined over 30,000 people among all my social media that are programmers, traders, and researchers and all that. So I would hope they'd be interested talking to my audience, because I definitely have a very good audience, thanks to people like you that are talking and listening to my videos here. So Flabba Jabba comes back. Rumor has it that Japan is causing markets to shake and maybe behind the current dip. Is there opportunity to take advantage of it? Yes, there is. That is very true. What's happening is the Japanese yen's considered this this carry trade for decades. It's kept everything propped up and liquid for the big shops to borrow yen and then use that for other trading opportunity. So now that's hurting the Japanese people and obviously Japan as their inflation kicks in. So from what I read, what the AI, because the news has focused on that a lot. It's not AI saying that the Bank of Japan is kind of scared of actually doing it because of the impact of it. So if there is opportunity there, yeah, there will be definitely if it happens. So first off, they call it the yen watch. So if this does take place, where would you trade? Obviously, gold's going to spike. Everything's going to spike. Outside of the risk instruments, that's including the markets, stock markets. Bitcoin could move up, but the ones that will definitely move up are your precious metals, your gold, silver. So that'll definitely go up. I think you'll start, and it's already happening. A lot of the other currencies are moving up. Euro, USD is moving up. Mexican pesos moving up. Swiss francs moving up. So there's opportunity there. That might be the safer place to go, and even add leverage if you can through a broker. So there's opportunity there. Maybe Bitcoin might move and the precious metals may move. So there may be opportunity, but the question is, will it happen? When will it happen? Because they already had that. They did intervene a little bit a couple of months ago, and there was very little blip just in the news itself. But with the Japanese government bonds moving up, that's where things will really blow up, because as bonds move up, that adds risk to the overall financial system. So as that's happening in the treasury market, and as I said earlier, that's where the volatility comes in the treasury market. So it'll make trading a lot tougher, as I said earlier. So that's a good question. Will it happen is the question. Hey, bro. Oh, hacker Bora Bora. Thank you for coming out. If you got questions, let me know. Even on the topic I'm talking about, let me know. I just wanted to know if Bora Bora is in Bora Bora, because that's another thing that is happening globally now. Thanks to the person that sent me this, is very valuable. I've kind of known this, but watching this video verifies it. He sent me a video about Switzerland, the Swiss leaving because of inflation. So everyone's moving to more affordable regions. Oh, thank you for the hearts. I rarely get those. But yeah, I'll be hopefully on the move for myself in the next month to check out Panama, of all places, as my first venture for this year, and venturing out more to Asia and Dubai as well, just for affordability purposes. So yeah, I might be one of those. So I just wanted to know that. But if Bora Bora, let me know your location. If you're in Bora Bora, I'd be interested to know if you're in a place like Asia for affordability reasons, just out of curiosity. Yeah, so that brings up another topic, is this one hedge fund, the contact I got that I mentioned earlier. They're based out of New York. They do have a big presence in Singapore. Oh, you're in Algeria now, but you're originally in Bora Bora. Let me know if you travel around Bora Bora. I'll be interested. So the interesting thing is, a lot of these firms now are moving quite possibly into the U.S. Into Dubai, of all places, UAE. So that's another area that's interesting to kind of parlay as a note here for career. If you're in Europe, specifically UK, US, it's going to be severe competition. But I posted a while back in the fall about how Saudi Arabia is wanting to get big time into the HFT space. I know some of the US-based firms are growing their presence in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, UAE, because of it's easier to operate there for them. So a lot more firms may start to move over there. So there's going to be opportunity there. Just something to mention about career, because there'll be less competition, I would imagine. And just something else to consider, that I think over time there will be some job growth over there. The first ones I saw last year, 2 years ago, was Schonenfeld out of the States. Had a huge expansion over there back then. I don't know what other big firms are in UAE, but if anyone ever watches this and comment away. But I do know that the Saudi Saudi Arabia is trying to get into this field big time, become one of the bigger operators in it, which would make sense because, I mean, they generate so much cash from oil and whatever else they got going on for their own trading, for their own development. It makes sense, and they definitely need to grow that. So that's another area that should be considered if you're willing to go that route. Hello, Tukwa, blessed you, 7Y. Hello, how are you? If you've got questions, let me know. We are here to learn as a group and answer the questions as best as I can. So that's, again, another area as a career you could look for. Now, I haven't talked about this. JDI, have I looked at Kimi? Oh, yes. Kimi is very amazing. And I'll definitely look at it. I'm very interested in their swarm technology. I've already talked about Manus, but there's some news coming out of that as well. I read that Meta may go with premium subscriptions for both WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram, and we'll have premium subscriptions where you have to pay to get features out of that. And from what I understand, Manus will be part of that as long as you're willing to pay, because it says it's very expensive to operate, but Manus is very good for agent, but everything's catching up now. So just wanted to mention that. So Hacker Bora Bora, I'm using graph knowledge, and my idea is the period using Folklore DB for a RAG system and high database speed. Okay, let me talk about that on database. On my architecture, I'm using Redis. Okay, I only use it for state. That's all I care about. I can't compare Folklore DB how fast it is, but traditionally, Redis is considered one of the best in-memory databases for this type of need. As I said, I've ran for the last 30 hours this architecture that I've talked about in C# with Redis being the message, but it's held up really nice. So that is something to use. I only use Redis because it's very simple. I use a publisher's pub/sub pattern, which is very simple. And I'm using AI to develop it and maintain it and have separate dedicated channels for each client strategy in it. It's very easy. It keeps up, no problem. Very reliable, and definitely something I'd look at for speed. Depends upon, as I said earlier, your level of need. And Redis is fine too. So yours may work as well. But C++ had ASIO in memory, but there's no replication to it. So I can't say if it's totally reliable. If something drops, you wouldn't know because there's no redundancy to it. So just remember that if you're planning to go Redis, or sorry, in memory, whatever it is. But the other thing is with the Folklore DB, if it has a redundancy and replication built in case you start to lose very critical messages on your message bus. So it's built for, I'm sorry, I got a wrong use here. Graph RAG, specifically built above Rust. Okay, so Rust I'm not familiar with, unfortunately. If somebody else has any insight on that, that'd be great. But I wouldn't be surprised. It's very similar to C++ as well with the Redis. It's been around for many, many years. With the RAG, nothing wrong with it. Now, if it's a graph, obviously it's more specific for things like obviously AI and machine learning. So there's definitely an advantage there. So again, I can't really comment on that for graph database needs because I don't know. But on the other hand, for RAG, it depends what you're trying to build. Are you trying to build something like if you have in memory with machine learning and you're watching a data stream on a sub-second level where you want a trading model to self-adapt based upon what it sees in the data and in the stream, and you're using this technology like this graph RAG application for that, definitely that's the right way to go. State space in real time. Yeah, okay, that's something, as I said with the Redis. But if there's a specific need for RAG with in memory, that's something conceivably really, really worthwhile to build out for sure. Have never really done it, but it's something I'm interested in as it stands. But as I said, the thing is, when it comes to this high speed stuff, depending upon your account size and your level of trading, it might be overkill. If you're doing it for signal generation, that's fine. But even at that low level, it can be overkill. I'm just basing it upon my experience, like what I've been talking about in my last series of videos and what I've been posting a lot, just to slow down that trading analysis. Because if you try to trade on that, outside of a big account where you've negotiated really low commission fees to eke out that profit, it's definitely something to pursue. But from a retail perspective, in like real world trading in a retail level, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but it may be overkill. As I've kind of started realizing last week with what I built out, it's like, it's great. You can pump out like 10 trades in a minute, which I can do, but practically, what does that do for me when you start paying retail commissions? Even at the CME level, you have to negotiate down your commissions as low as possible, and that's based around how many trades you're willing to do. So definitely consider that, because as I said, it's like trying to kill a mosquito with a sledgehammer, right? So I just mentioned, if it's for self-learning, if it's for career to show a trading shop your capabilities, that's fine. But for real world trading, as I said, that might be a little overkill. I hate saying that, but it's just, I don't want people to realize, no problem, Haka Bora Bora. I hope that helps you out, but I just don't want you to be let down and go like, oh, that's great, I could do all this stuff, but practically, what now? Oh yeah, there's this thing called commissions I have to pay out in each trade. Because I was able to pump out like, I don't know, 20 trades in a minute with what I had. And I'm like, hold on here. Like, like if you're on Binance and you're trading Bitcoin and Ethereum like I did years ago, when Bitcoin was heavily positive momentum with that big, massive trade trend that they went from 20,000 to 60,000 with Bitcoin, yeah, it's definitely worthwhile, because you're just hammering the hell out of it to make a lot of money for leverage. But the commission fees on Binance were so low. It was profitable. It was very profitable, dude. But the commission fees were like nothing, and they still are nothing. But just that's the only scenario I could see it right now for something like crypto on Binance. And commission fees matter, especially when you're pumping out a lot of trading volume. All right, so who's got other questions and comments as well? What are you working on, JDI? I think. Yeah, because, I mean, AI is getting more sophisticated for sure. The DeepSeek's going to be interesting. I've seen a lot of talk about which country's leading the space now. Is it China? Is it USA? Ah, you're a data scientist. Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So it's not for real trading, I guess. But as I said, with the trading AI space, it's radically changing yet again. With Gemini 3.5 coming out, this new Kimi K2 Swarm thing. Be very interesting to see what that plays out, and especially now with a couple of things I've been noticing on news. I haven't played with it yet. Is all this new terminology. MCP is still a big thing, and that seems to be a new software paradigm in programming. So that's pretty well, I think, here to stay. And then there's also the skill when you build out your agent. And a lot of vendors now are building out skills for these agents that they provide through Claude Code and now Gemini or the new anti-gravity verified to do that as well. So JDI, I'm still currently trying to backtest some algo strategies running IB. Do it. But as I said before, you might want to start looking at AI to do all your back testing for you. Specifically, download your data and load it up in an AI or just have, as I said, if you know Python, use Streamlit, tell the prompt saying, let me, or let the user upload a CSV of the data, and then in the same prompt you say, hey, do the back test for me on how far back you go, and let the back test work for you. And then you can also do a walk forward analysis as well. I've been doing that quite effectively over the last couple of months, and it works great. So I've never put myself and blowing my, I don't want to say on YouTube, but putting a lot of emphasis on back testing, because the AI can do it for you. It does a lot of that heavy lifting, as I've mentioned over the last couple of months now. So Hacker Bora Bora says, do you use hashcode coin predicting in the crypto market? That's one way of doing it. Yes, you can do that. I'm more interested in what options give me. I have the capability when Bitcoin is worthwhile, and Ethereum as well, to look at more forward-looking data. And through the option chain data, the top two are implied volatility and open interest, because those data points you only get in option chain data. So when you start looking at more of the things like the hash code, because of the complexity of it, and that's all fine and good. But they said that the hash code's falling, and what's the mining difficulty, I think they call it, that's coming down. But why hasn't Bitcoin moved? Right? Bitcoin has not gone up as it should traditionally when the difficulty to mine has gone down. So that whole paradigm is now kind of shown it cannot be relied on anymore, and the real volume is going to be driven, as I said, in the forward-looking data, what you get through the options market, and that again it will be implied volatility and open interest. So that's what drives the price of Bitcoin right now, at least in the futures and options space, and that's what I would use for more reliability. Yes, so yeah, we can calculate how electricity costs by hash. Yes, you can do that, but again, I think the reliability is starting to become less relevant now, because it's just the traditional way of trading. Bitcoin is not the same as it used to be historically. You know, this the four patterns or whatnot they said, of 4 cycles of Bitcoin and all that. I just don't think that's there anymore. Part of it's obviously because of the gold move, and they're always making references back to between Bitcoin and gold, the ratio of that. And then they also look at the Ethereum against Bitcoin, and that's going down because Ethereum's starting to eat into Bitcoin's lunch. So there's different ways to look at it, but if you're just purely trading Bitcoin, I'd probably just look at open interest and implied volatility, because that's forward looking as it stands. I'm not sure people can buy that or not, but it's a lot easier because I'm just not seeing the Glassnode metrics being used so much. So yeah, it's just something to consider if that's what you're trying to do, or if you have access to Binance, you can look at that data as well. ETH will do big moves with new cryptocurrency tech. Yeah, I agree with that, because of stablecoins, because stablecoins are being built on Ethereum blockchain. So because of that, there's still that huge need for Ethereum. And that keeps the utility of Ethereum out there. With all other layer 2 coins like Solana, Avalanche, and well, XRP is another one on its own, but I think they're losing momentum because of the new acts that have been brought out by the U.S., the Clarity, and there's another act as well drawn up in the summer. So those are what's driving the demand of particular coins. And as I said earlier, stablecoin is having a massive effect now on the overall crypto space. I mean, Bitcoin is trying to fight for relevancy now. And I don't know if you've been hearing what happened in Davos with the CEO of Coinbase squawking about how they're going to drop out of this new Clarity Act support because You can't make any yield on the stable coin and blah, blah, blah. And there's a banking interest and lobbyists of the banking and that big dispute. So let's just put it this way. The banks are going to win regardless. And then even Coinbase and the like may, over time, as this Clarity Act becomes bigger and bigger, a lot of these, what we know of retail crypto may, over time, start to lose relevancy. Unfortunately, because the stable coins is what's going to drive a lot of the utility of crypto. And as I said, with Bitcoin, it's not performing how it should. When you look at gold versus Bitcoin, gold is eating and silver is eating Bitcoin's lunch. And some of even the AI, when I ask for it, it's telling, why isn't Bitcoin performing the same way? So that's just a way of telling you this big, massive debasement trade. And when Bitcoin's not part of that, it says something about the future of Bitcoin itself. So take note on what I'm saying. You can believe it, not believe it, but it's not moving because of that. So JDI says, I heard that a lot of stablecoins are currently not allowed to pay out the interest from the treasuries they buy. That's currently. I think what's going on with that over the short term, the banks are trying to have control of the situation because they know that the DeFi movement, the decentralized finance, which crypto is really part of, they know if that takes control, the banks themselves become less relevant. So they're the ones driving these new acts in the States. And they have the winning hand. So a lot of the retail crypto, like Coinbase and the like, become less important. I hate saying it. And that's why, as I said, gold and silver is like moving huge while Bitcoin's not moving at all. So JDI, some people speculate that is lobbying from the banks. As I said, that is 100% correct. That came out in Davos. Came out from John Armstrong. John Armstrong, of the CEO of Coinbase, said the same thing. And that's 100%. What hardware setup do I use from Hacker Bora Bora? I'm just using, believe it or not, a standard laptop with 16 gig of RAM. But I can only go so far. But I do realize that, and that's why I'm more focusing on cloud now. I just removed Office from the Office soft apps from my laptop because now I'm moving all my apps, all my Office app stuff onto the cloud using Google Docs. So I'm trying to offload as much as I can off the laptop because right now I use so much processing, just running this little server and client stuff. I could do news analysis all at the same time. I'd rather run it on a cloud environment. And as I said before, the one I recommend is Vultr, VULTR. If you can do it in Linux, do it. I prefer to run it in Linux, but unfortunately for the actual live execution and trades, if I'm going to stay with Rhythmic, I have to use the Rhythmic Trader Pro, and that's Windows only. So that's why I'm Windows. So nothing I can do there. Hopefully I'll answer your question, Hacker Bora Bora. But yeah, I'm just right now running off of a standard laptop, but I would like to get a desktop as well. Is Intel Cloud give you 1T of RAM? The Intel Cloud give you that? Do you have any information on that, Hacker Bora Bora? Is that like a clouding solution? I've talked about the AMD, what they're doing by putting money into the cloud providers like Vultr, and in the hope that their clients that use Vultr will use AMD technology, the hardware that they provide. And to be honest, between NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD, it's all commodity. It's all comes down to the same, right, in terms of performance. But depending upon how you're deploying it, in my case, I do think I'm going to offload as much as I can onto the cloud. Part of it is if I want to be traveling on the move. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be less and less like doing that on a desktop or a laptop. I have to do it on a cloud environment, especially live trading. And the live trading is not very much, well, I shouldn't say that. because I'm generating so much data, I don't know the cost yet of sucking in all the data each month, because it is bandwidth that you use on a cloud environment. It could be pretty expensive, so I'm unsure of that, and that's just another reason why you want to slow down your trading as well, your data collection. Because right now, what I'm doing, it would blow your mind. It's got 3 different instruments running, and it's sucking in so much data through Rhythmic, and it's, as I said, it's very reliable. I haven't seen any knockout of any kind over the last 24 hours since I've been running it and testing it very reliably. But I couldn't imagine trying to do that on a cloud environment. So that's just another reason why personally I have to slow down that trading once I make that big move out of where my current location, because that's going to be a thing to think about if you're going to follow along with what the rest of the world is doing by moving out of the West and just setting up shop elsewhere. Those are not permanent moves. So if you're always on the move, you'll have to rely more on the cloud solution to get you through that. So you have to collect less data to bring down the cost each month. So I don't know. I wish I could give you a better idea there, but again, I don't know until I'm in that moment where I'm trying to do stuff through a cloud environment, being on the move or being on the road, we'll call it. Who's got other questions and stuff regarding any of this for tonight? Just broke through the hour, folks. So yeah, I'd be interested to know more from Hacker Bora Bora. If you have a link or something about this 1 terabyte RAM on Intel Cloud, I'd be interested in that. If anyone else wants to follow up on that, I'd be very interested in that. But right now, I haven't really researched the cloud options, so who knows? I wish I could give you a better answer on that. As I said, I'm just working off my knowledge of Vultr, and that was over a year ago. But at the time, it was fairly cheap, but bandwidth is another story. So we'll leave it at that. Who's got questions and other questions? You guys got good questions tonight. That's really good. Yeah, let me know. But again, my future, I'm just waiting for a question to pop up. My future looks like this over the next day, is to move what I showed in my video today with the news, and then developing new client strategies based upon the drivers I presented in my video today, my long form video, and then being able to trade off of that, because I think that's where the trends will be. Long term, short term, I don't know, but I'm going to try it out, and I know that architecture works great because it's been proven. It's ran 24 hours now. It's been really fine. How do you find about new AI models? Well, the trick is, the secret sauce trick, Google app. Google app. Yeah, I use Google app. I scour that thing. I also use Google News as well. What the trick is with Google app, it took me a good couple of months to do. It first starts out, it's going to use your search patterns using your Google profile. So based upon, as I do with AI, everything that I do, and the different models out there, it knows that I'm interested in AI. So over time, what you have to do is you have to prune out all the major news that will want you to register because there's a paywall or some kind of wall to register to receive the story. So you can use Google News to take that out. And over time, you'll get all the news based upon your interest of all the latest news of AI, all the models, everything. So that's what I use, and it works great. Obviously, I get other people sending me stuff as well, so that helps. But just mainstream news has some other stuff as well. Just that's all I really use. Hacker Bora Bora, your knowledge reflect the power of AI depending upon, I guess, who you are. Yeah, it really depends upon your search patterns. And as I said earlier, I may with the new Gemini 3.5 coming out, I do think, and if it does happen, where the Gemini 3.5 is as good as Claude 4.5 Claude, I may make the switch and go all in with Gemini. Okay, because I use Gemini a lot now, and I also use Nano Banana with my crazy thumbnails that you see. So I'm using a lot of Gemini for everything except for software stuff. So there is, I haven't mentioned this as well. There's a concern I have when it comes to bias. I've already seen it in the Chinese LLMs. So I tried to fool around with this by using a VPN or a Tor to pretend I'm from another region in the world. I wanted to see if there's any form of bias in any of the models. Chinese or American, doesn't matter. And I hate to say there is bias now. Once you bring bias into the fray, it brings down the quality of the output. Because I was hoping that the Chinese models will still stay ahead of the US models because of that bias. But as I said, I'm starting to see the Chinese bias in these models coming out of China. So that's a big concern, obviously. So I started looking for, are there any models out there that don't have any form of censorship, no bias? And there is. But they're going to make it harder to get to. The first one that I'm noticing is Dolphin 3. It is open source, has no censorship in it. It is, I think, dated because it came out 2 years ago. I don't know how frequent this gets updated, but if you look for Dolphin, that's an uncensored one as well. So consider that moving forward with a lot of the bias, which will hinder the quality of output in coding and in research, whatever you're using AI for. So yeah, that will be a thing. For sure. Also, anti-gravity is the magic. I agree. That's why I'm going all in with Gemini. And a couple of things I should talk about Gemini 3 for coding versus Claude 4.5. I do believe I put out something on this last week. I mentioned that Claude is very good at overcomplicating the coding on what you want, which can be a good thing because you could generate... you can generate code over 2,000 lines. So that might be a little overkill. Whereas opposed to you put the same prompt in with Gemini, the quality output in the code might not be as great, but the code will be, let's say, 1/4 of the size. And you can kind of get the same result that you're looking for. That's between Gemini and Claude as it is right now. So that's why I'm kind of leaning to see what happens with both DeepSeek 4 and Gemini 3.5. If Gemini 3.5 is on par with Claude, Claude is very expensive, and and Gemini proves to be cheaper, as I said, I'll go all in with Gemini with the anti-gravity and just get the Gemini AI package that they have, because I've been playing a lot with, if you haven't noticed, the Notebook LM, it's phenomenal. It's one of the only tools I've seen out there for just other content outside of coding. So that's really good. That's another concern, Hakabora Bora, is in Gemini you need more context prompt. As far as I know, that was a big problem with Claude, and I hope that they said it's been fixed. That's if you're using Claude Code, which I haven't really played with, but there is a limit on that. Plus the capping is not there, so you get monster bills beyond the limit of each month. So that's a concern there. But with Gemini, it seems to handle bigger projects on the coding front. So I want to see how it works with the new anti-gravity, because I think that is a big concern as projects get bigger and you're using AI for the whole thing, which AI can't really maintain, because if you have a big project, and that's why one of the big reasons why I moved off of C++ into C#, because of that, to minimize the amount of code needed, and it does make a huge difference. But I can't, again, I don't have any comment on that for how Gemini, and specifically the new Gemini 3.5, will address that. And especially if you're using the Gemini AI packages that they've got. But I'm willing to go down that path because I'm seeing more and more Google, more and more Gemini kind of taken over. And it kind of makes sense because Gemini and Google need to stay at the forefront to stay ahead of the market overall as a company and staying legit as compared to Apple has to rely on Google AI to stay in business, right? Anyways, that's another thing too. But we are talking about code generation here, which is important. And I think it's getting more sophisticated now because, as I said, I'm seeing over the last week that coding, the paradigm of coding is quickly changing with these new features of MCP and the other one, skills is another big one that I'm seeing. RAG, I'm not seeing as much talk of that, but that could be still involved with, specifically if you're using models and just querying models live to have your application self-adapt. That's where I think RAG is very important on. But then there's something else that a lot of people aren't talking about is the new things that libraries, they're very expensive, is the quantum computing, like through IBM and other, like through, what's the other big company called? DSys, or can't remember the other, out of BC, that company. But I'm seeing more of the APIs that are available through the quantum as well. So that's going to be another big thing as well. Another big factor to consider that will, once again, change how we look at AI and how we implement a lot of the AI. Because D-Wave, thank you, Mr. D3 Capital. Wouldn't that be funny if you're part of D-Wave? Yeah, D-Wave, exactly. But I'm only saying this because months ago, there was some quantum out there, but one of the deeper, knowledgeable Chinese LLMs that I'm using mentioned that a lot of the HFT firms, when it comes to direct market access, they're actually using quantum APIs to get a leg up against the competition in the direct market access. So I wouldn't be surprised more and more firms are using the quantum capability in direct market access for the high frequency trading. Would not surprise me at all. In fact, I know a lot of the banks have their own setup with a year, I think about a year ago, I think JP Morgan had already their own quantum computing setup. Same with Goldman Sachs. So they've already probably been working on that for quite the while. But as a come to know that both IBM and D-Wave have their own APIs available for quantum computing. So that's going to be the next big thing over the next, the way it's going, a couple of weeks. Well, it's probably realistically a couple of months, maybe the next year or so as well, when it comes to auto trading. But that will obviously be only accessible to the big wigs, because the cost, from what I understand, if somebody can verify this, the API third-party access for D-Wave is over $10,000 a month. I don't know. If somebody wants to look that up to verify and put it in an AEI, that'd be awesome. We will see cloud services, yeah, we will. The thing is, I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of the third-party, what we know, in terms of books, courses, all that, AI is changing all that, where people can do it all on their own. Especially with, as I said, with the way Gemini is setting it up with Google AI, the package, with anti-gravity, they seem to be the ones going to eventually take over the cursors and the VS codes as well, if the likes of Microsoft don't get their bleep together and continue to put out something as competitive as a Claude, or specifically as a Gemini, because more and more people will move over to Gemini and Google products, specifically anti-gravity. That's how they're setting it up. We're going to Tony Stark mode, probably. Yeah, and that's another thing too. I don't know if you guys have been watching the What's the Las Vegas CES a couple of weeks ago, where there's an announcement with the General Dynamic with their, remember the robot dog and Atlas? All of their AI is driven by Gemini now. So all of the humanoid robots will be going through some kind of AI platform, cloud related as well, will be, and that's why I'm saying humanoid robots, Tony Stark here, is through these LLMs, specifically Claude and Gemini as well. Out of China, from what I understand, they're using more, obviously DeepSeek, because I don't know where I got, I think it was through some social media, mentioned that DeepSeek is used in the CCP military, it's used in Hyundai Dash. The Hyundai's using it extensively, along with a lot of the Chinese car manufacturers using it for their screen dash cam design as well. So DeepSeek's heavily used everywhere outside of the West. So those are the big leaders. So, and obviously it has a big impact on trading as well and HFT related. But I'm only mentioning those from what I'm seeing with the AI when it comes to direct market access. And of course, we're not supposed to know that, but I'm only mentioning it because it comes out in the AI queries. So Hacker Bora Bora says there is new paper named Deep RAG. This will change the database thinking. Probably, but the question becomes: do we really need a database? The conventional relational database management system where we have these high-speed message queuing, like I said with Redis and what you're working on, as well as the Flacker DB and Rust. And it really boils down to message queuing. I mean, that's what it really boils down to. So with AI, I know there's another big company pushing another high-speed database out of New York. And to be truthful, AI can build it in no time. I mean, within half an hour, you can have AI build out your own trading solution with a database involved. I've tried them all. SQLite, it could work, but no. I've tried Postgres, that's overkill. And then I went back to Redis, and it worked great. And it's a very old version 3. That's all you need is just something like a pub sub just for the message queuing. So, and again, you can get AI to do it. It can be open source as well. So there's a lot of buzzwords when it comes to the database technology. And I don't know. I can't say yes or no, but it's always changing with the database. The best place to know where to track that is, I think it's called DB Engines, to see what are the most popular database platforms and engines are on that website. Again, I think it's called DB Engine. That will give you use case and the user profile of on demand of downloads and whatnot for databases. So something just so you know. No problem. Thanks for the likes there. So again, I think we're moving into era where AI will be do-it-yourself coding and building your own platform. I think we're at that point. The problem, if you're coming in from a vibe coding point of view, meaning very little coding, it does get dangerous. We had a guy on a WhatsApp group go on bragging about how he put up this thing for economic metrics and blah, 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 blah. So people started using it and the thing started blowing up. And it was using, of all things, Streamlit. And it had database connectivity problems and the guy didn't know how to fix it. I mean, you could fix it, no problem, very quickly. I just don't know if the guy knew how to do it. So it was pretty obvious he was a vibe coder. And it was pretty embarrassing if he was trying to launch a business with that. And more importantly, it hurts his reputation as well. So vibe coding is fine for testing and blah, blah, blah. But if you're going to get serious in terms of developing something, trying to make a career or a business out of it, you definitely got to know your coding skills, specifically more architecture as well. So just hint, hint. If you're new, got questions, let me know. Be glad to answer whatever you got. DevOps is the gap. Yeah, well, DevOps is the gap. And that's developer operations, like more Linux maintenance. Yeah, but again, you can use AI to build that for you. A good example, the one thing I like about Claude is when it generates the code for you, you could say, hey, Mr. Claude, tell me how to deploy this. And it will tell you how to do it. If it's through a Docker container, if it's done through a Linux shell, it'll even tell you how to publish it onto a website if you really want to get fancy smancy. And AI can do that. So DevOps, it's totally different from needing to know how to architecture a complete platform or app or something as well. But yeah, DevOps is much easier if you don't know what you're doing, because you can just follow the instructions and what the AI tells you. That's different trying to maintain a system and it's building an entire business out of it. I mean, it's different if you're trying to do it with a JavaScript or now the TypeScript. And just so people know, I was looking at the language of what that Clawbot was building. TypeScript. That guy, whoever built it, Peter, is probably going to become world famous now, building that tool out. Again, I haven't played with it, so I don't know. So if you guys got questions or comments, let me know. I just want to say thanks. Google has told me now that my specialty is live streaming, so thanks to you guys. That's what I'm known for in the world of Google and YouTube. Let me know if you guys got questions or comments or stuff, whatnot. Because right now I'm going to, as I said, focus on changing up my client coding and more focused on the news related stuff that I mentioned earlier today in my long form video. Not saying that high frequency trading is not usable. It is for signal generation, but for retail traders with a smaller account, news-driven stuff is important. And one other thing I should highlight is, as I said about volatility, I think the trading world is starting to pick up that volatility and the unpredictability that it brings. It's going to be very important that you're able to respond to it and be able to build out automated trading strategies. Excuse me. Excuse me, to relate around that. And that's going to be another big skill I think firms will be looking for if that continues and that trend becomes something no longer a trend, but a pattern. Oh, thank you, Hacker Bora Bora. No problem. I appreciate that. God blesses you as well. So, yeah, that's the importance of, I think, the new big trend for 2026 is the patterns are going to change very quickly. A lot of people said we're moving into a new money system after this Davos, which is probably true. And I think that also means we will move into something completely different in terms of what we know on what's predictable and what to trade. So yeah, you will not need to know how to adjust to the market faster. And the best way to do that is by news. The way I built it out with these news feeds, as I mentioned earlier. The other thing I'm not mentioning is instead of watching price, another thing I think that's going to be important is to focus more on price targets. Meaning when you do your trading as position management, that you want to watch your open positions hit their targets. So essentially, to simplify the trading, you're going to have to calculate at that moment. As I said, if you're going to do option chain data for futures in the world of derivatives, you can use implied volatility to measure your target. You can also use your volume as a target as well. And if you are able to reach that target, the other important thing is to measure the probability if that profit, once you hit that target on the upswing, is that momentum is going to continue, because that comes down to probability, all based upon a number of factors: volume, liquidity, market conditions, and so on and so forth. That's going to be very, very important. So yeah, that's one of the things you may need to use is the targets, both on the downside and upside. So as an example, let's use retail Forex as an example. You can use an ATR, average true range, for both your upswing and your downswing targets. You can also, as the price moves up and hit your profit or your profit target on the upside, you can either exit and take your profit. Or you can let it run in the hope that the probability is there to continue to run a profit once you hit that target. For my trading reality, usually once you hit that target, you just get out of the position because probability says it's not sustainable. You will have a higher probability of not just hitting your profit, but if you don't close it out at that point, meaning an exit, and you still let it run, and especially if the product volatility becomes unpredictable, you can get major drawdowns very quickly, and then you can lose that target. So you're better off to set a reasonable target. Once you hit that on an open position, just close. So for let's just say, as an example, you set a position of 1%. Once you hit that profit target of 1%, just close the position. And then for the downside, you could set something like 0.5% on the down move. So once you hit that on the down move, exit the position. Because the danger is, as we know, is you start to run stop losses along with your target profit. Brokers will see that and will use that info against you because the masses are doing that. So you can maintain those targets within a system, but you don't let the exchanges know that's what you're doing to set that target, okay? Important to know, because I'm seeing time and time again, that's what the HFT shops are using to trade against you. So as a real world example, if Robinhood is enabling the so-called zero commission, and we know they're selling back that order flow back to the HFT shops like Citadel, and people are setting their profit, the stop losses, because that's what they're brainwashed to do, and as well as setting a target on their take profit. That information is being sent back to the HFT shops, and that's what they use to trade against you, because we know that they're able to go in and out and close out positions a lot faster. So you want to keep that information to yourself. And that's why you need to keep those targets within your system, but don't let the exchange know your take profit and your stop loss. That's the best practice, and it's been in place for years from a retail, because once your exchange knows what you're doing on the take profit as part of your order when you open it up, that can go against you. But that particular may not go against you, but if you have thousands of people doing the same thing, you're just sending that back to the HFT shops through the order flow that's sold off, saying, yeah, we expect the targets to be this, and then they just manipulate their trades as such. That's going on. That's been going on for many years, specifically in Forex and the stock market generally. That's why people lose money, but they don't know why. But just something you could do as a defense, and really you got to use that now as a sure shot way to stay profitable. But the less your broker knows, the better. Less that you tell the exchange, the better. Okay, just putting that out there. Would you say this applies for interactive brokers as well, or only retail brokers? Retail brokers, yes, for you, JDI. The good thing about interactive brokers, they don't do any of these monkeying around with people's orders. You're pretty safe, but it doesn't guarantee you profit. But yeah, I do know that interactive brokers is a more honest broker in certain ways, and that's definitely one of the things that they have, because they don't do their own market making, and which means they market make it against you. The retail Forex brokers do that, and for sure, a lot of the retail crypto exchanges do that against you as well. And especially if you're with an exchange or broker that just doesn't have zero or has zero commissions, where do you think they make their money from? doesn't take an idiot to figure that out. So just keep that in mind. Just important things to know, because we will have, as I said, once we get to a point where we have unpredictable volatility in the treasury markets, which is coming, we are going to have major difficult times to trade because of that. And unless you tell your broker or exchange on what you target on both the down and the up swings in your open positions, the better you will be. But unfortunately, the masses the dumb money basically will not know this. But, tough titties on them, I guess. Hate to say. You guys got any questions on that or anything else at all? 1.5 hours. We're doing good. Appreciate all you guys asking all the questions or here again, because that makes a difference. One thing about this is engagement, and engagement is key for all of this, for sure. But if you guys got questions or comments, let me know. Because I think we're going to have some interesting times, especially if this Japanese yen thing happens where the Bank of Japan intervenes. It could happen tonight. It could happen tomorrow. Who knows when? The AI is saying it won't happen, but doesn't mean anything, because we can look at the president of the U.S. And if you want to talk about the one that can throw hand grenades out there, it's him. And it really impacts the trading. That's why he backs off of the Greenland thing and all that, because he knows and he lives and dies by what happens in the stock market. That's his measuring stick. That's who he reports to. Nobody else is the stock market, because that's going to be his legacy. And he's trying to have the best economy, best trading economic conditions. And if once that goes bad under his watch, that's what he watches, and that's when he becomes President Taco. Trump always Trump always chickens out. He's been doing that forever, for the last year. So if you guys got comments, questions, let me know. I'm glad to be here and help you guys out. Lots of stuff I'm going to be working on. I was hoping to do live trading last week, but then I'm like, man, with this setup, the high-speed trading, as I said, I don't want to pay them commissions and make Rhythmic and see me wealthy, but not me. So until and as I said, another reason to slow down that trading is if you go and follow the pattern I'm doing to rely on the cloud for your technology, that's something you got to consider as well. You guys got questions or comments, let me know. I could blab all day, all night. So as I said, it really depends upon what happens with the AI. So much is coming out now, and as I said, the software paradigm in terms of programming's changing so quickly, and that's because of Claude Code and the MCP that they brought out last November. That's definitely something that's pretty well institutional now, and I think from what I'm seeing, switches is not a trend anymore. I think that's going to stay, because that's the behavior you put in your agent. And one trick I learned today was if I go out and use a model and I say, hey, give me the reports of the market for today, what typically happens is the model will come back and give you the price from 2 years ago. I found out that you can use a parameter in one of your MD files and say the current year is this. So that's telling the context, only use this is the current year, okay? Because in the prompting, I thought you could do it. You can't. So now with the Claude coding and the anti-gravity, this is the sort of things you're going to have to configure now as part of your prompting, especially if you're relying on agent-based AI. So hello, Daipen Shanane. Should a newbie 21-year-old start trading manually or start HFT? Neither. Do your automated trading, slow down the trading pace, focus, we'll call it medium frequency. HFT is only good for those that want to go into that as a career space. I'll hopefully know better answers if I hear back from those recruiters I mentioned. And I've been getting some notifications lately in the last half hour that I'm getting responses from somewhere on LinkedIn. And I think those are the recruiters. So we'll see and get some answers after the stream once I respond to that. Anyways, focus on the medium frequency. It depends upon where you want to go. If you want to do career and play around, definitely focus on high frequency trading. If you're trying to make a career out of something, either slow down your trading, medium frequency or low frequency. Focus on algo trading, and depending upon your account size. As I said before, if you're starting out with a zero or very little account, go into crypto or Forex, and just build something with their API. Build out even trading views, another good example. And just focus on developing your chops and how the markets move. Understand market data and get familiar with whatever indicators, whatever rule-based strategy you're going to use to build out. Once you get more sophisticated with a bigger account, like a few thousand, then I'd start focusing on futures and options with something like a Rhythmic. Pretty well, Rhythmic's your only option anyways. And go that route. You could go with another higher-end platform. Do it in Java with MotorWave. You can do it with C# in NinjaTrader or whatever other platform that supports C#. That's the path I'd go, and just focus on that. But again, it depends upon your goal. If you're trying to do this as trading for yourself as a career, definitely go what I mentioned with the trading view and eventually the other platforms. That's the route I'd take, because I don't know you. Sorry. Hopefully I'll answer your question. A couple of things I must mention. I do run a new site called HFTcode.com. If you want to know about market making, Bitcoin, high frequency trading level, visit that site at hft.code.com. I also got a new free package, we'll call it, for C# stuff that I'm working on now. Unfortunately, I'm starting to realize that I'm going to start lowering the cost of that Bitcoin market making thing. And then the free thing, I'm no longer going to make it a free thing, but it'll be affordable. So I'm not going to be doing all this free stuff anymore. Sorry. Also, I do have big plans for that website. I'm going to be making it more affordable. And then for the other stuff that I got rolling out, if you're trying to make a career, you have to focus on futures and options. I will get confirmation, hopefully, as I roll out my queries with the hedge funds, real hedge funds, the big ones that we all know that we want to work at. And I'm going to get confirmation from them what they're looking for. I do believe they'll say they want people that are options and futures traders, especially now as more and more firms are laying off established, mature people that are highly experienced, that come from futures and options. That's your competition now for those type of jobs. So the only places to go is to learn real world institutional level futures and options. So I have a course on that. Again, as I said, that price is going to go up. If you want to know more, just go to quantlabsnet.com and join the email list. Because of the people I'm bringing in, the value that I bring becomes more valuable. Not just that, but my other thing that I got is going to go up double without announcement. So I'm just saying that, just not to scare people, but just to be blunt. You know, daddy's got to eat you, right? Anyways, none of that. Here is the video for 1T RAM, 192 core. The funny thing is with this, if you could email that to me. If you go to my website, quantlabsnet.com, you'll see on the lower right that there is a chat you can open up. Just send it to me via that. That's going to be more valuable to me. I appreciate that, Hacker Bora Bora, because I'm very interested in these type of solutions, especially if you're saying 1T RAM. I'll be like, hello. I do think that Vultr does have that available, but the question is how much, and the data cost or the bandwidth cost as well. But I'll definitely be interested in that. Or you could just message me on LinkedIn as well. That's the other option as well. Because they used to have a messaging service in YouTube, but or just put a comment on Yamaha trading. Okay, I know Yamaha. Ha ha ha. Okay, thank you for the info. Just so you know, Yamaha's bringing out a car. Yay. Okay. I went to a boat show last week. They have boats, engines, they do everything. A Yamaha. Anyways, coming back to our topics. So if you got questions or comments, let me know. I'll gladly answer them. Hour and 40 minutes, I have no problem being here. As some of the regulars show up. Yeah, so there's that. But if I do this live thing with one of these recruiters, I'm hoping that they will be okay with it. Really depends upon their employer. So they may be limited if they can or cannot do that, be on a live stream. So if that's the case, what will happen is I'll have to do it on Zoom, not on YouTube, obviously, because I just don't want them to get bombarded with their usual trolls, which I might say that we haven't seen any trolls lately. Hey, surprise on that. Anyways, yeah, so if those kind of streams happen or live events, the only way you'll know about it is off my website on quantlabsnet.com. Okay, and you'll be on my email list as well. So I do think if I do this type of questioning to these recruiters, and one of them's from a beyond well-known hedge fund out of New York, and if they come aboard answering your questions, that's beyond valuable. Yeah, you have to you'll be getting notified through my website. So, and I'm going to try to keep that group fairly small as well, because I just don't want them to get bombarded with the beginner questions. That's pretty obvious. So there's that. So again, go to quantlabsnet.com. On that, with the messages and notifications, I'm hoping keeping my fingers crossed that could happen. And I have a whole slew of other people as well, directors at big, large firms, the biggest out there, that become my followers now because of what I'm putting out over the last month. I've got directors, I've got senior quant researchers, blah, 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 blah. And these are the high-paying folks, the 6-7 digit high-end folks. So if I can open up those conversations and maybe make themselves available to answer questions from people, that's going to be a big value add for folks like you if you are trying to figure this out on your career. Because what I will say, I'm finding there's a lot of yahoos on YouTube specifically, making money off of people that maybe spent a career 1 year in a firm and think they're experts, and they're going to help you through interviews get a quant job or a quant coding job. I think it's laughable, because they've not shown any form of live trading. They've not shown any form of talking to real industry people that do the hiring. So I just don't know. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Anyways, we'll leave it at that. So if you got questions or comments, let me know. Thanks for the likes so far and the emoticons. I'm still trying to understand what the lobster means. I've seen the lobster a lot, or the crab or lobster one. I'm trying to figure that one out because I'm too old to know these things. But one day I should do prizes for people. Do you guys want to do a prize? Okay, so right now I can see who my top fans are. So let me just see. I'm going to push a button here and see who my top fans are. Okay, so I see Hacker Bora Bora, JDI, and Flabba Jabba tonight are my top 3 fans or contributors. I think I should start doing this. So if you guys, and I'm sure I'm going to get a bunch of other people after the fact, go to my website right now and go and type in, as I said, on the lower right, or just reach out on my LinkedIn. Tell me your ID right now on those top 3, and I'll give you something. Okay? I'll give you something. And because I'm going to start rewarding you folks for being part of this and engaging with the questions and stuff, because I think that's what it's about. And I've got lots of stuff I can give away that might be helpful for you if you're interested. So just reach out via LinkedIn or my website at the lower right. Just tell me who you are, and I'll hook you up with something good. Maybe, I don't know. You just tell me. Yes, go for it. If you're new, type something up. Beat these guys. Okay? Because they've been asking all the questions, and I'm all for it. But let's get some new blood going, because that helps, and get some competition going. If you're on my Substack, I have ways to maintain leaderboards as well, but nobody's on my Substack. So the only action I have is on LinkedIn and YouTube. That's it so far. But I'm pushing out the other platforms as well. But Meta, no. X, no. Substack has potential, but definitely LinkedIn and YouTube. And then my own website, of course, as well, with the groups that I run on the website at quantlabsnet.com. It's all the self-promotion. But daddy's got to eat, man. If you guys got questions or comments, let me know. But it'd be really good if I can get these folks to come live on a Zoom session. One's out of Singapore and the other one's out of the UK, so it won't be the usual Eastern Standard Time. So it'll be wonky times for people. But these will be very rare opportunities to be able to talk to actual, if it happens, can't promise, actual recruiters saying, yes, this is what we look for in people. This is what we need. These are what we look for in people. If it's based upon education, based upon what I also say, that you have a profile of some kind, GitHub, maybe showing live trading, some innovation products or innovative products that you're working on, and LinkedIn stuff. I have a hunch that's what they're using to get front of the line access to them, and open up that communication as well. So Hacker Bora Gulam Ben Saha. I don't know if that's for me. Anyways, yeah, I think that's important, because everyone's here for a career, looking for these big paying jobs. But if I can get access to these recruiters and get them to answer your questions live, my website's saying, just send me a message on LinkedIn. Just look for me on Brian Downing on LinkedIn. You can always message me there. So more than welcome to do that. I'm not sure, just in the messages, let me know on the website what you're saying you don't have access for some reason. It could be you're hitting a paywall feature somewhere. Anyways, like I was saying, if you guys got questions, comments, let me know. Giving away stuff for those that engage. We already got our top 3 guys. Females for all I know. I don't know. But as I said, I think what I'm trying to do from a career perspective is to bring in real recruiters from these firms. And I'd love to have them answer live questions. And maybe, just maybe, make those videos available on my YouTube channel to confirm what we're saying. Because there's no point just sending out a resume and just hearing nothing. Because it is a conversation. And one of the people that I came across is that they go on LinkedIn, and that's what this person does. Their job is to look for profiles of interest to them. And this is a large, big name brand hedge fund out of New York that we know. And they're looking for profiles. And then they hand it off probably to somebody in their HR. And then the HR person will reach out via LinkedIn. And I think the way they do it, I'm suspecting, is based upon what you're posting on your LinkedIn. It's specifically using, I hate to dare say it, hashtags to get the attention. It's been working like it's crazy how it's worked. I purposely put up 4 tonight or the last few hours on just trading, okay? Crypto trading, commodities, and currency trading, and just see what happens with that. I'm doing that on purpose specifically. I'm also targeting C++ developers, and this thing works. So if people are trying to do this for career, so far what I'm seeing is what you post on your LinkedIn profile, okay? I think it's very critical, and then going beyond that by posting, showing your initiative, which is very important in any job, but specifically in this economy, to show you're bringing in value for a firm as they lay off people left and right. You have to show that you bring in value and you can bring in revenue for them. As AI now starts to take over, it's just how it is. I hate to say it. So from what I'm seeing with LinkedIn, depending upon what you're posting in your profile, and it does come down to social proof, the number of followers and that it matters. And if you have a GitHub repository, to show that you're really doing something original, that you are showing third-party verified profit with that system, I do think you will be put at front of the line despite your education. That's what I'm seeing. I've got people with the early CFD Canada. I've got people that are coming out of Cambridge with PhDs doing this stuff, okay? So I couldn't imagine if you're just an average Joe trying to do this to get the attention of these recruiters. So that's very important to understand. And third-party verified as well is going to be something very important outside. So you have to build yourself up as a brand. And it's going to get more competitive, unfortunately, with AI kicking in, making it even more difficult. And there's few, as I mentioned in the beginning of the stream, in the UK, there's fewer jobs getting posted because of AI. And especially now, for the junior roles, there's going to be harder and harder, let alone to find those junior roles. And it may be through internships. And what I understand with internships at these firms, for every person that gets accepted, it's 20,000 people applying for that one allotment in an internship. And again, the internship does not guarantee you to get a job after a year interning in these firms, that you get a job anyways. There's a lot of things that are involved here as well. And a lot of things I'm seeing, what you have to also understand from my perspective on LinkedIn, because I'm now building out profiles, I do have a group of, 11, 12,000 people on LinkedIn, and I'm seeing all the candidates from throughout the world at different levels and different experience of their technology and education. It's very competitive. I hate to say that, just sending out resumes is not going to do it anymore, unfortunately. The other option that I have mentioned is becoming your own independent trading shop. That's very probably long term for the better, because you can carry this into your retirement as well when you get good at it, and with AI it's helping. So with that experience on your own is another path to go, and I think it's more lucrative for people, especially if you have a real passion for it as well. So that's what I do. That's what I'm focusing more on. So again, quantlabsnet.com for more info on that. So I'm hoping that with these recruiters coming, hopefully aboard, and I got a lot of them, and I also have directors at these large firms following what I'm putting out. Big ones, like the biggest money managers, the multi-trillion-dollar, they're following senior ones as well. They're starting to follow what I'm putting out. So maybe, just maybe, I might be able to bring them in. I don't know. It just depends on what they can do. But definitely on the recruiting side, I'm hoping that they can help out. And again, as I said, if you got questions or comments, let me know. And I'm hoping to do those soon, because they know I have the pool that they're looking for, especially with the two groups that I run, both on Facebook and LinkedIn. So they have an incentive to presenting to this audience that I have as well. And it's not just a few, it's in the thousands, okay, of like coders, quant people, management people in the various groups, and the followers that I have as well. That's not just including YouTube, but LinkedIn specifically, and then of course my own audience on my own website. So there's that. So if you guys got questions or comments, let me know on whatever you got, algo trading, automation, trading, investing, that we've been blabbing about, along with career. Yeah, that's what it's about, career. Because like, I don't mind talking about career, but I need to see that there's an interest in it. But I'll know based upon the response on this video and the shorts that will follow later this week. And if it's an interest, definitely I'll pursue it. But I think if I'm able to get these recruiters from these firms, real firms that people want to work at, that will be a new dimension I will gladly focus on, because I think these other people are doing people a disservice because it's not that easy. I think it's fine for them to line their own pockets, but in terms of what they bring value to people, I don't know. You could just read it on Reddit, on these folks on YouTube and other high profile social media. I'd rather be the real deal with the real voices on the other side and what they look for, and get it verified as well. So we'll see. That's what I'm hoping for. As I said, you guys got questions or comments? I can blab all I want to my heart's content. But let's see. Let me just check. So we have JDI B3R number 1, Hacker Bora Bora number 2, and if Flabajabba's around as well. Those are my top 3 contributors for tonight. So if you're new, doesn't take much to become a top fan, I guess is what YouTube calls it. And I'll gladly send something out your way from, let's say, the HFTcode.com website. I'm not sure what next I'll be looking at, but things are changing really quickly with my type of analysis in the markets. I really want to get live trading. I really do. But with last week's discovery on this HFT related stuff, I just don't want to get killed on the commissions, as I said earlier. Who's got questions or comments? I can always shut down if you want. I'm okay with that. That usually incentivize people to ask their comments and questions to keep it going. As I said, from the past, we've been on this for over 3 hours, so no big deal for me. It's up to you folks if you want to jump aboard. One thing I have to say is that the doom scrollers that just do that, just doom scroll looking for their next shiny toy, they're not doing themselves any favors, especially if they want to get into this field, because it's getting so competitive, and the AI now is just making it easier for people. You got to act. That's all I'm trying to say. You got to act and engage. Without that, you're just somebody sitting on the sidelines wondering what happened to the world as the world passes by. Don't want people to be like that, but the only way to get out of that is to act and engage and figure out where you want to go and ask questions, comments. So this live stream is one of those opportunities. I'm going to be honest. I'm thinking about shutting down my booking service because it's just something I like doing, but the free days, me giving away stuff is going to come to an end fairly soon, because like I said, I'm reaching the people that I want, and there's lots of other free resources out there as I move up the value chain of algo trading and automated trading. So that's why I want to more focus on the recruiters and stuff to show the value that I can bring, and those that want to engage, those that want to ask the questions, those that want to actually act with the recruiters that I bring in. Do not know. But if you got questions, let me know. Somebody took away their like again. That's going to change my life. That used to be the trolls and stuff, but that's okay. I'll get up tomorrow as usual, and the sun will be shining tomorrow, no different than tonight. Anyways, if you got questions or comments, let me know. If I don't see anything, I'll just shut around. I hate saying that. I don't know if people are running out of ideas or whatnot, but I think I've talked enough about career stuff tonight, right at the beginning. Obviously, if you just joined later on, then just watch the earlier parts of this video on my YouTube channel. I really appreciate people thanking me for the stuff that I bring as value. Appreciate that. That's what keeps me going. And I appreciate all that. I'm going to be doing this as long as I can with all the streaming and stuff, because it is beneficial. I do genuinely want to help people, but I think there's always going to be the haters and the trolls no matter what. I mean, the more I get, the more the more it's better. It just doesn't bother me. The more I get shows signs of success. At the beginning, last few weeks it was pretty bad, but in the last few weeks it's been pretty good. Not tonight. It's not been one troll, which is pretty impressive. I'm sure that might change things as of tonight. But yeah, I just want, at the end of the day, no matter where you're at, you got to act. Things are going to radically change. So if you got comments, questions, let me know. I'm here to serve thee at no cost. If not, I'll do it going once 3 times and we'll end it because we are approaching 2 hours, which is pretty good. I don't mind going a third hour or reaching a third hour. Just so you know, the longest stream I've ever done was 6 hours. And I'm hearing people are on YouTube are doing like almost 24 hours, but these are gamers. Yeah, that's all they do, is just play games online. That is a thing for, if you're an old fogey like me, where 14-year-olds are on YouTube making a lot of money, playing games and building communities out of it. With the boot camp I'm in, a lot of them, that's what they do. I don't know where they go as professionals down the line. I don't know, but it is a thing. Oh, have you tried Kimmy for back testing? Yes, I have. Yes, without a doubt. Just put in the prompt, dear Mr. Kimmy, please give me a back test on this data set. Give me a walk forward analysis, easy as that, and do it in Streamlit. Boy, you'll be surprised what it can spit out. The best one's obviously Claude. Gemini's getting up there too. But if you follow a pattern, that's the way to go. So new person, hello, Christopher Wallace. Are you investing in anything long term? Oh, I mentioned that earlier. In my stream, if you watch my long form earlier from today, it's exactly that. Obviously, it's gold, silver, and maybe Bitcoin. And depending upon natural gas as well, see how that goes. So long-term holds, it's what it's about. Some of them show 2 months, potentially, depending upon how the actual instrument plays out. But yeah, I think that's the smarter way to trade. You get less commissions. What do I think about drones? Drones in what way? Drones that are to fly with a remote control? Love them. I've never played with one. I've seen them. I've seen the videos. Has their utility or their use case for them for sure. I'm not sure specifically what you're asking there, Christopher. Military drone stocks. Oh, I see. Sure. Why not? Anything defense is really good. If you look at Rheinmetall, out of Germany, done quite well. A lot of the defense contractors are doing well. Like they're saying now Boeing could come back because of it, and a bunch of other ones. Just listen to what they say on Bloomberg. But right now I'm not trading. See how I've got it. I've got a big portfolio that's professionally managed by a team that I have through a bank. Okay, so that's what they focus on. So, and that's all obviously stock, ETF, and equity. So what I've, over the last few weeks to months, is focusing more on the derivatives, futures, and options. So that's what I'm building out for myself, because I think that's more lucrative, more risk, but once you build out your stable trading from an automation standpoint, the better you're off, which I'm testing now, and it's working beautifully. I can't really say anything about military drone stocks, but I think defense is definitely the place to go. Even if there's a recession and everything's pre-war and whatnot, what they're going on about, obviously there's growth there for sure, no doubt. As a result, on that side of things, I think these wars are going to be what they call light touch, meaning it's all talk, but nothing will come out of it. I mean, there might be some kind of skirmish, but like look at India and Pakistan, that was over 3 days and it stopped. These are not going to be full-on wars, but we can reap the benefit of the scare tactics and the scaredy cat stuff out there. We can still reap the reward of this hype of everything going military, but I think it's going to go light touched. I just think it's just all scaredy cat talk. I'm getting more convinced of that. Because you look at what happened in Venezuela with the blockade, and you thought, oh, they're going to go in, and then even the AI said it's just posturing. Okay, and that's what it ended up being. They just went in as a distraction to snatch up Maduro, and now they're doing the same thing with Iran. Gold still worth putting into or too high? That's a good question. Here's something that you can do with crypto, which I am picking up in mainstream news lately. Is Tether Gold might be a safe trade as well, or if you have access to PaxG crypto, which is gold, that might be a good one to venture into. Is it too late? Who knows? I think if there is going to be some kind of calamity, those are going to definitely spike. I am worried about they will decline. Not the way we think, because it will be manipulated to come down. I just think that's what they did a month ago, but it's still recovered and still went up. So they may actually do something to bring it down the price of gold and silver. I've already mentioned what's going on with gold dealers and the fabricators that melt down a lot of the scrap gold. So watch that part of this video. I've already mentioned that. That's something that people are not considering, but there are videos that I've seen on that. And it may not be what you think when it comes to gold and silver. So JDI came back. Do you have any views on private credit? I've seen some article that is getting overheated. Yeah, that's one of the data feeds that I use now as a way to analyze the markets, specifically both private equity, private credit, and treasury. It does not get the attention that it should. I think it's going to blow up, specifically when you look at what they're trying to do with the Clarity Act and offload as much debt into stable coins, U.S. stable coins, and then you can buy your so-called treasury with that, through that. It's smart, genius actually, but it will blow up. And I think a lot of the pension funds will fall for that as well. So there's going to be some major, I won't say collapses, but surprises for these lazy portfolio managers where they will get surprised and get a big haircut. So where to go? As I said, currencies is right now looking good. Agriculture is probably going to perform as the next big backup, and defense stocks as well. So yeah, the private credit's dangerous, especially private equity. I've seen some articles in FT that don't like private credit. It's a great way to sell. I just don't know. I just don't like it because it's not public, and I think if things do decline, or we'll call it a crash if it happens, private equity, private credit will get hit hardest, much harder than anywhere else you can think of. But again, if they manipulate it, I don't know what's planned, because there's so much manipulation going on in the markets, especially at the bank level. It's been proven. All my predictions I've mentioned 4 months ago have come true. Specifically on the dealers, gold dealers, that was mentioned 4 months ago, and that's now becoming a reality. So be aware. But like as a Joe Schmo, I think currencies has a lot of potential there, because I think it's very predictable the dollar will decline and other currencies are starting to perform. And there's your classic arbitrage strategy right there between euro, the safe way. If you want to continue with the Japanese yen, go for it. Mexican peso is another one, and the Swiss franc. Who knows? That's probably what I'm leaning towards. After, if the gold and silver somehow, but how you cannot really manipulate a lot of the currencies. Pretty hard to do. You can try to hide it and guide, and disguise it in ways, but the core of it you can't really manipulate. It's too big. I mean, that's what, 4 trillion a day. So that might be an area that should be safe. And I'm not talking about retail, folks. I'm talking about the currencies that you can buy as futures and options, and including the DXY as well. So there's some opportunity if things get really bad, and I do think agriculture will be something as well to watch as well. I don't know if inflation kicks in. Yeah, definitely futures is a way to help get back what you pay in inflation at the retail level through your goods and services you buy. And if you're making money through, let's say food goes up, you buy agricultural product through the futures market, you can make back what you pay out through food and groceries. I never thought of that years ago, or in the last year or so. And the other thing that I've talked about that's going to move, you don't even have to ask me, just look at the performance of VIX. VIX, the volatility itself, as I said, volatility is going to kick in high gear, and just watch that as a future contract as well as a option as well. I think VIX will be the unspoken number one instrument to trade. The worse it gets, the more you'll make through VIX. And can you manipulate VIX? No, you can't as well. So it's something else to watch as well. I've been mentioning that quite a bit. And just watch it. When the markets get really bad, watch the moves of VIX. It's something that people never consider. You never hear about it in the mainstream media. No one's thought about trading it. But yes, you can trade VIX as an instrument. VIX. VIX. Yeah, so watch out for that if things get really bad. And you can definitely make some good money there too, specifically in the options market. So panics, yes, you can make money there too, for sure. You guys got any questions? Christopher, if you got any other questions as well. Yeah, but coming back to the gold, silver, I don't know if it's too late in a trade. It's really hard to say. They may do some kind of manipulation, basically no different than a military operation, where they'll do some kind of overnight operation that they did a few months ago, where just mysteriously price of gold went down overnight. It did recover. The idea was to spook people to move off of gold. It worked for a while, but it came back. So it could happen again, but that move might be deeper next time. Not saying if you already got into the early moves in the fall of gold, I think a lot of people are getting out. I don't know if you follow Rick Rude. Rick Rule, not the wrestler, Rick Rule. He got out of all his positions in silver. This is the number one guy out there, probably online right now with precious metal. He got out. He sold all his silver. So he's exited. He feels that there's still performance you can eke out of the gold and silver miners, but now he's saying he's getting into the energy market, which is now starting to happen. When you look at the move of natural gas because of the big snowstorm on Sunday, that could be temporary, but I do think oil will start to move, and I think oil did move today as well. So yeah, that might be a place to go right now as a new commodity super cycle for that. So I'm definitely considering it. Right now I'm not trading it, but testing it. The volume's not there compared to in the markets, the indices. It's highlighted in a recent video. So there is that. You guys got any other questions or comments? Maybe on the topic for tonight, trading, investing, algo trading, technology, 212 I've spent here. Let me know. You guys got questions or comments? I don't mind. Do not mind. Yeah, I might be putting out more content, but I'm posting across Substack, LinkedIn, YouTube, my own website. What else? Where else am I posting? That's pretty well the top three right now that I'm posting on. Like I said, I'm wanting a live trade. With the testing that I've been doing for the high frequency trading stuff, it's that style of trading for me, unless I had a big account, $500,000, $1 million, it works. Willing to basically lump all the high commissions that come with it. So as I said, I'm going to have to slow down my trading analysis, and that's going to be mostly news driven. I haven't mentioned this earlier as well. You want to be able to respond to the markets with strategies. specific for the market conditions. Because as I said, when you're entering into a high volatile market, the traditional way you may trade, all that may get thrown out. So you would have to respond to the market maybe day of and have strategies ready to go specifically for particular market conditions. So my thinking is to get up in the wee hours of the morning and run what I generated today from my earlier video, my long form video on news, and set up those strategies ready to go when the market's open, when the major volume opens. So that may be something I may look at. Also, when the markets do go 24/7, like they're trying to do with NASDAQ and the NYSE, they will determine if the markets go 24/7 or 24/5, I guess, what they're starting at. But they could go 24/7, so the overnight traders, specifically Asian, will be able to trade U.S. markets overnight to us in the U.S. and North America, specifically in the East Coast. So that's coming. They've already got everything in place. Just when they turn it on, I don't know, because everything's going blockchain. So if you guys got questions or comments, let me know. I'm not sure if my voice will hold out much longer, but if you guys got questions or comments, because I may come to a point where I may consider shutting this stream down. I'll be on my usual stream next week, Tuesday. I don't know when these streams will happen. If it does Zoom session, I won't announce it on YouTube with recruiters and these firms. I've already queried with 2. If that goes well, then I will see what happens there, because I think that's going to be big time value. No one else is doing that, that's for sure. So Gerhard Beal, welcome, hello. Is there a way to get an internship job in this field without a degree or a lot of experience? That's a good question. The internships now are pretty well done with the big firms for the year, because they start those openings in November, December. Anybody can apply, and then they officially kick in May. So as I said, anybody can apply. Now, as I said earlier, depending upon your performance on social media, you have a trading system that's verified with profit. Again, this is all theory based on my part, but I'm hoping to get answers out of that verified from these recruiters. If that's the case, then yeah, you have an opportunity without the degree or educational experience. Because I think it would make sense for these firms to put priority on people like that. Because there's PhDs coming into these firms that don't have an incentive in terms of actual trading. They're just in there for the bucks that they make. And I think firms are wanting to move away from that, especially now that AI is kicking in. They're looking for people that bring in value and revenue into a firm. And regardless of your education, and you can do that and prove that to a firm, you'll definitely be very valuable. And your compensation obviously goes up because of that. Right now, I can't say if it matters if you have the need for degrees in education. I would say probably right now, but once I hopefully get a definitive answer from recruiters on that, I'm hoping I'm wrong on what I'm surmising, but maybe, just maybe, if you don't have the education, that you have a sure shot way of getting in. As I said, if that's the case, you don't have it, but you're wanting to make a career out of it. As I said, watch this entire video and other stuff that I'm hoping to put out to give you the option to do it on your own, because I think over the long run, it's better, because this, as I said, this carries you into retirement. It's consistent. And if you develop the skills that where you can consistently win in the markets, regardless if you're working for a firm or not, you could be better off if you're willing to put the work in. Because what I'm seeing, a lot of people don't want to put the work in. They just expect, you push a button and $1 million is in their bank or in their trading account. Obviously, it doesn't happen. But I think the possibility, if you put the work in to implement, you'll do just fine. It's all about taking action, really. But I think you may have a potential, but I'll get, if I do talk to these recruiters, I'll know. And as I said, for those that are just joining or missed out, if I do talk to these recruiters, it'll be on a Zoom session via being notified on my website at quantlabsnet.com if you get on my email list. So there's that. I'm not sure if I'll promote that on YouTube. I may put a replay on it, but depends upon the recruiters what they can and cannot do, let alone if they'll talk to me or not in a group session. I don't know. We'll see. But if that is the case, it brings huge value to knowing what these firms are looking for without listening to these other so-called experts in career when it comes to quant and HFT with these big firms, because none of them show proof that they've talked to these people and what they're actually looking for. So I'm not sure what they're talking about, if it's valid or not. But talking to the recruiters, yeah, it will definitely, you'll hear it right from the real McCoy. Okay, thanks, appreciate it. Definitely trying to put in the work. Love this stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's something, if you have an interest in it, and a lot of people do, but if you're doing it for yourself, I think it's better. But a lot of people want the big paycheck, the multi-million-dollar, but there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that you got to go through, and a lot of emotional stress. So if you can do it, you can do it. But it's hard to get into, regardless of your background. But if you have the work ethic within you, I don't see why people can't take this as from an independent perspective, especially now. Everybody I'm hearing that can't find work, they're opening up businesses and they're taking their passion and, monetizing it basically. So that's something definitely is an option. I'd almost rather not work for a firm, but wondering how to get exposure. I've been talking about that all night, Gerhard. I just watched the earlier part of this stream that when it goes live on YouTube, which will be within a few hours, or go to my website, quantlabsnet.com. Better yet, if you can get on my email list as well, you can just get my emails and see what I'm doing, or just watch the YouTube channel. But as I said, if I do get the recruiters, don't expect me to put that out on YouTube land, because it's something I have to keep it small and keep the newbies out because I just don't want to put them through the embarrassment of what the trolls can do, and they can be very nasty as well. So why bother putting them through it? No problem on that. Thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. As they always say, if you like what you're seeing, share and subscribe, blah, 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 which I never do. That's why I have a very low subscriber count, because I don't say that a lot. I don't live and die on YouTube, just so you know. If you guys got questions or comments, let me know. That will extend this stream for tonight, depending upon where you are. It could be in the morning. It could be in the afternoon. I don't know, depending upon where you are. But let me know if you got questions or comments. Let me know. Appreciate the questions, Gerhard. If you want, get on my email list as well, as I said, at quantlabsnet.com. Okay, anybody else got any questions or comments? Because it's getting pretty active on my other groups here, outside of stuff that I talk about. But hopefully I got some good news on LinkedIn responses to my queries from earlier today. As I said, one is in Singapore, that's the recruiters. One is in Singapore and the other is in UK. And they are the real deal when it comes to hiring as well for these jobs. So in the meantime, who's got questions, comments, algo trading, investing, trading, automation, career stuff? Let me know. Oh, new person. Oh, JDI, how are you? Going to call it a night here. Currently 2 a.m. By all means, my man, thank you for joining. You'll be able to watch there. Well, you joined pretty early, so you know what it's about. Thanks for joining. Anybody else got questions or comments? Have a good night or a good day at 2 a.m. in Europe. That's the kind of commitment I get from people. They could be getting up at 4 a.m. for this thing. But let me know. Comments, questions, let me know. Just so you know, I mentioned this earlier. In the next month or so, I'll be heading down to Panama. So if you watch that Van Halen song, you'll know what I'm talking about. Just so you know, part of my mission for this year, like everybody else, to get out, just due to affordability and just for sanity, taxes are getting high. Where I live in Canada, I'm sure you know. So like the rest of us, we're looking for affordable places. My first will be Panama, and then hopefully, depending upon if we don't have killer amoebas, as I say in the news, I'll be making my way to UAE and then Asia. Just looking for places. Singapore's coming up, Dubai's coming up. People are moving there because where they live is getting so expensive. Those places are looking pretty cheap these days, which is kind of scary. I'm also looking at potentially Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia and Bangkok, Thailand. That's the tour plan. Have you heard any insightful discussions from Davos? Many, JDI. Let's just put it this way. If they say that there's going to be a new world order, it's already taken place right now. Just look at the price of the moves of silver and gold. Those are debasement trades. That's basically the market in the world saying we're tired of your shenanigans with the debt-based economies, and we're moving to sound money. So that's already happening. So that's basically the general consensus coming out of Davos. The one I'd watch, and from what I understand, the most popular, watch what our dear leader said from Canada, Mark Carney. His apparently is the most popular, and then the other one was President Taco. But I think what's being mentioned by our dear leader in Davos is a game changer. He was basically saying because leading up to Davos, he made arrangements. First led with President Taco going on about Canada, blah, 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 blah. And as a result, our dear leader made trading arrangements with China and Qatar. So China, what they've allowed now is that we get their lovely EVs, their cheap ones, their affordable ones, to hit the Canadian market. So that puts U.S. as a threat now because you have China now knocking north of the border with cheap EVs and other products. It's essentially, it could be like a free trade deal with China. And then all of a sudden, President Taco started crying about it. And then our dear leader backed off on that trade arrangement with China. That's generally the general consensus right now with that. And the Davos with Europe, all this nonsense about Greenland. You haven't heard anything big time about that. Again, it's just posturing. I'm sure there'll be some kind of agreement made where they will extract whatever they can get out of Greenland or set up their little bases in Greenland, maybe. But they say, Taco said he's going to come after Canada now. And as I said, in the last day or so, our dear leaders backed off on the China thing. Unfortunately. So cool. Boylan, very informative. Thank you. That's what's going on. And there's just so much scaredy talk. I think in the U.S., just in case you're American, their biggest threat is what's within the U.S. Take a look at what's happening in Minnesota. And then really what's the big blow up potential is the economy, their markets. The US dollar is getting killed. The gold is going up. Because of that, that's something that the US will not control, even with military. And that's going to be their biggest threat. And who wins out of that's going to be the CCP and China. And those that rally around China will win out of all of this. So it will change that new world order, like it or not. I just think it's President Taco is kind of delaying the inevitable, as far as I'm concerned. But either way, the chaos, as I mentioned earlier, what you can trade will go very lucrative. It's not gold and silver, be what I mentioned earlier as well. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch this entire video. I get love from YouTube when you do that. Yeah, that obviously impacts trading in the overall economy, and we little potential traders can make money out of it. I've already talked about how you can make money, and inflation will come. I'm not going to lie. Inflation, no matter what you do, what you say, inflation will kick in a high gear, and interest rates will not stop it. Okay, as I said, with the U.S. economy, I don't know if you guys have heard, but the new what do they call it? The not the debt clock, the clock, the nuclear war clock. They've moved it up from 0.9 seconds to 0.85 seconds for nuclear war. That was as of today, and I don't know what to take away from that. From an economic standpoint, obviously these are things we can't control, but we can plan and hopefully reap from if there is negative stuff coming out of it. I already mentioned where to go, and I'm seeing it already. So watch this entire video or be on the lookout for the short clips. Hopefully they'll be the right ones that mention all that as well. As I said, if you got questions or comments, let me know. People are coming and going on this stream, so we are coming up to 2.5 hours. As I said, 3 hours is usually the length we go. But if you got comments or questions, let me know. My voice is going. But I think we are going to hit something big, and the transfer of wealth is going to happen. The biggest ones that will be hit is within the West. That's why I'm making the plans, as I mentioned, for affordability. But the biggest ones that will get hit, typically the youth, because they can't afford homes. They may not be able to find jobs now because, as I said earlier, with the AI. And I'm not saying that's as a prediction, but it's going to be hard. I think the way it's been playing out. And I think from where I'm from Canada, we seem to be the world leader on everything that could go bad, will go bad for the rest of the world. And that's why people are leaving. And then there's that saying, get out while the getting out is good. Okay, and that also goes for your capital as well. 'Cause my biggest fear being in where I am is capital control. So Cody, welcome. Hello, hi. I just want one thing from you. I've seen the markets for almost 7 years now and break even. I used to be a web dev, but recently I got a job in a Dubai-based trading firm as a dev. I mentioned that earlier. That's where I think a lot of the actions taking place on the quant firms. Or just trading firms. They're moving over to these regions, be it Singapore or the UAE, because it's just easier to operate in. As an example with what happened to New York City, look at the amount of firms that have moved out of Chicago, New York, down to Florida to operate, or Goldman Sachs moving to Utah and Texas. If the U.S. gets so bad, they'll just say, I'll go to Dubai or somewhere out in the East, be it Singapore, potentially. Dubai seems to be the global potential new leaders. As I said earlier, I've just watched a video on the Swiss are moving out as well, which is quite shocking because it's an affordability for them. So that's something to be on the lookout for. Basically, so from Cody, basically my job is to automate their strategies. I'm comfortable with Python and Node.js. What should I learn next? Thank you. No problem. And yes, also back testers. Okay, so I mentioned earlier, AI is doing everything. You could do the back testing with AI and your prompting. Python and Node.js is great. I think your next language you may want to learn, C++, the place to if you got the technical chops to do that. Some will say Rust. I'm not seeing Rust yet get out there in the job space, especially in the financial institutions. Not saying it's not going to happen, but it could. But at the other hand, they've been saying C++ will die off, and yet it grows. So that might be the place to go if you're intending to stay in the financial institution space. Rust is something to watch for, but for now, I'd kind of focus on C++, because you'll be able to move up the value chain, which in turn gives you more higher paychecks. And that's what I'd probably strive for. To get into one of these firms is a big accomplishment, so kudos on that. Doesn't matter if it's in Dubai or wherever, just to get your foot in the door, that's pretty good. But I would stress to your employer, your new employer, saying that you're wanting to learn this stuff and show your incentive that you want to, as I said, show value to the firm and that you're really wanting to learn the trading and financial space. That's definitely the path to pursue when you get in, to stay and survive and thrive in these type of jobs. Believe me, I do know that these firms want these kind of people. These firms want to keep these kind of people. The problem for them, there's just so many BSers out there. That's hard for them to achieve this through their recruiting process. But it's going to get harder and harder for people to try to find the easy route. But to get in, to keep a job is another whole story. But the way I'd recommend it is just move into C++, move up the high, what you call a value chain to a firm. And then, as I said, you'll show the incentive, they'll value you, and that you want to bring value. And if they offer you some senior position, take it, because that's the number one way to keep those type of jobs. Because if you're just wanting to stay in a junior role, that tells the firm, that signals to the firm you're not interested to move up. And when the next time they have rounds of layoffs, you'll be the first one to go. Because what they look for are people that want to move up in firms, specifically get into senior roles to lead a trading desk or even management, and basically mentor other people. That's what they look for. And at the same time, that move up and that are traders, get into trading, and that are successful at trading, and then you get a larger pool of capital to work with, and the better you become, the more value you become to those firms. And with that, when you put on your resume down the line, you become more valuable to the next firm. It's pretty simple as that. But with AI, I don't know. But that's how you kind of thrive in this field as well. So those are good questions. These have been excellent questions for today. This is an A+ again on the stream on the quality of questions. I thank you for that. So if you guys got other questions or comments, let me know. Career, no problem. As I said, I'm hoping to get answers from these firms. I'll put up a post maybe tonight or tomorrow on this. No problem, Cool Boylan. I wish you luck in the firms, because it's one thing to get into a firm, but the other big challenge is to keep it. But if you show initiative, that you want to move up and you want to expand your mind on learning more advanced languages and moving into senior roles, that firm will value you, and you will become a rare commodity for them. They don't want these people to come in and just churn for 6 months, a year in the firm. They want people for years. They want lifers, basically. They will compensate down the line, for sure. But unfortunately, with the younger generation, they just go, I'll get in a job, do it for 6 months, and move on to the next one. It don't work like that anymore. And especially with AI, it's making it more difficult to get into these firms as well, as we've been talking all night. You guys got questions or comments as well? Gladly to answer whatever I can. And I'm back to 3 likes. Thank you very much. And as I said, I didn't know you could take away likes. My whole life revolves around likes on YouTube. You guys got questions or comments? We're coming up to 2 hours and 40 minutes. I don't mind. And if you're not on quantlabsnet.com, I'll let you know on the response if I do get the recruiters. I have a funny feeling that it might be a yes on the last few hours since I launched this stream, but I'll know and confirm it for people on my website. You guys got questions or comments? No, yes, no, maybe. Okay, so let's do this. Right now, if you want to type something, just type something. A, B, put it. Oh, Cool Boylan's got more. The problem with these I see is that they only focus on students or guys, females as well, from tier 1 colleges mostly. What do you think about that? Yes, I agree with that, and I think that is quite possibly a reality. But what I'm finding is, as I said earlier, that the one contact I got from this large hedge fund is that they look at LinkedIn profiles before they send them off to an HR. So the concept of sending out resumes to these jobs, they'll collect the resumes, but realistically, for average Joe, does that mean anything? Probably not. But if you got a good looking LinkedIn profile, they may come to you, and it seems to be it's a real thing where they do hunt down LinkedIn profiles. And just maybe, if you don't have the formal education, but you showcase the initiative, as I said earlier, and you in fact have some kind of trading system coding, some kind of trading technique that's profitable and can be verified, that most likely could put you front of the line for interviews. I really think so. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hoping to hear from these recruiters. And if that's the case, then that's good news for people. And as I said, you can go independently as well. Nothing wrong with that. And it can be just as lucrative if you get to the point where you maintain and be able to make cash from trading. If you can make that a skill for yourself, that'd be awesome for a lot of people. As I said, they could take it in retirement as well, because I'm an old fart. If you got any more questions, cool, Boylan, let me know. That's what keeps me on here. The questions and engagement from folks like you and everybody else that's been online. So I'll do a going once, twice. Let me know if you got something. Type it up. So I'll do a going once. I don't want to go, but I may go. Going once. Going twice. Going 2.5 times. Anybody? No? Maybe? No? Maybe? Okay. Let's retire this stream and let's see what the topic will be next week. It could be on time horizons and trading. That's what I'm thinking for next week. Or news driven. And I'll base it upon what I'm seeing as of today's long form video. Other than that, I'll wrap her up unless something comes up on the stream comments. If not, thank you very much for watching. I'll have everything rendered so this full video will be available on the channel. And the shorts will come probably as of Friday. I got other shorts queued up until Thursday. So this round will start up on Friday. So thanks for watching. Have yourselves a good day, good night, wherever you are. Over and out. Bye-bye.